Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Page of Swords podcast. This is episode 7 with Nicole Ferrier, my NPC bikini competitor. She's my first bikini guest, so I'm super excited. She's a wealth of knowledge. I've actually known Nicole and been following her for a few years now. So, Nicole, let's start off a little bit about yourself, maybe your age, location, and some show history.
Yeah, so my name is Nicole Ferrier. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I relocated to Tampa, Florida. I've been here for about a year and a half. I am a NPC bikini competitor. I've only competed with the NPC. And this sounds bad, but I've lost count of how many shows I've done. I think I've done 18 or 19 NPC shows, with my first competition being in 2015.
Yeah, I was going to say the NPC website shows your history goes back to 2015. So we've got a lot of pictures here.
Yeah, the beginning's a little bit rough too.
Don't we all start somewhere?
Definitely.
And so you are a coach. So what kind of education, like certifications or anything like that you have under your belt?
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree in exercise science, and I minored in nutrition and business management. And I own my own company, just Nicole Ferrier Fitness. I do online fitness coaching. Majority of my clients are actually lifestyle clients. So although I'm a competitor, I work a lot with the people who are just wanting to reverse diet or build up their metabolism, or even taking them through fat loss phases. So I prep a lot of women for their wedding or post baby. And I work primarily with women. So that's what I do. It's my full-time job. I love it. I got my CPT at 20, and I did in-person training, but my goal was always to be online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you got clients all over America.
Yeah, I actually have some overseas too. I have a few in London, and I've worked with people in like Germany and Australia, which is cool.
That's super fun. And with competing too, how many clients do you have roughly for prep?
For prep, I'll only take on about 10 people at a time, and then the rest are lifestyle.
Okay, cool. Have you like prepped anyone and you were able to go to their show and
Yeah, I've had a few clients that I've prepped and taken them all the way to the show. I've gotten a few nationally qualified, and I actually competed at a national show with one of my clients at the same time, which was a fun experience because I was able to see her have so much success early on. And then I was like, let's just go to nationals and give it a go.
yeah, that's really cool. So what's it like being backstage? Are you backstage with your client? Like how does that process work? Like what do you do with your clients?
Going into show day, I have more communication with my clients, so I will be texting them on a daily basis, and we'll do phone calls. Even when my clients are competing, like let's say I'm here in Tampa and they're there in, let's say, Pennsylvania competing. I just had a client there compete. We will call each other and have communication throughout the show on what's going on. So like the morning of, after prejudging, because Paige, you and I know that prejudging really determines what you should be doing for finals. And I just try to support them every step of the way. I've never been backstage with a client, but I also try to prepare my clients as much as possible to where they don't feel like they need me back there with them.
Okay. And do you do like the pictures all throughout the day and everything, checking on the client and then kind of feed them throughout the day?
As we get closer, so as we get closer, we'll take more of like spaced out throughout the day, but like weeks before, we'll just take weekly pictures. But peak weeks where we're doing pictures like every single day, and then sometimes even after workouts to see how their muscles are filling up after a lift.
Well, on that subject, I'm curious to hear, is it mostly bikini girls that you work with?
Hmm.
Um, so what does our workouts look like on peak week?
So with peak week, it depends on where the client is at. If they are in conditioning, so basically in shape, they're lean enough, we will work out pretty hard until about Wednesday, and then I'll taper off intensity with their last leg day being Wednesday. Because with bikini, we want their hamstrings to pop, you want their glutes to be nice and full, and you also don't want to be in pain when you're posing. Bikini poses can be really uncomfortable in the lower back and your glutes. So I want them to be able to pop their muscles appropriately. And then I'll also lay off on things like shoulders too. It just depends on the client though. Like some clients, maybe they could come in a bit leaner, then we will train a bit more intense leading up into show day. And then others, they could use a bit of a deload week and then also feeding them with carbohydrates.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan because I know especially with the legs, you just don't want them to really hold water or anything of that
Hmm.
sort. And with bikini, like you definitely want to keep a nice full look to the glute, but then not like overdo it with the legs.
Yeah, I think so many bikini competitors are like, I want my glutes to look round. I want them to look nice and full on stage. So they think overtrain, let's hit them really hard. And even when I first started competing in my own peak weeks, I would still train and I would do too much volume. And then I wondered why I felt so like miserable on show day because I was sore and inflamed from all the extra pushing that I was doing.
Mhm. And I mean, I would assume you have your girls do some like sort of pump up in the back with some bands. Do they do anything to like pump up the legs before stage?
Not really. I will suggest a hamstring movement, but I really don't think that you can get too much of a glute pump. And most of the time you're wearing heels, so I don't want them doing like lunges and even squatting with heels on because you're so much on your toes. Like it's just mostly going to be quad at that point. So I will have them do a stiff-legged deadlift with a band. So like wrap the band down under their heels and really concentrate on the glute squeeze and the stretch and contraction of their hamstring, but I'm trying to pump up their upper body, like their shoulders, and then even core. So I'll have them do like a plank hold to help tighten up the core and get even abdominals to pop a little bit too.
That's really cool. Yeah, those are the things like even when I compete, no one really thinks about the proper pump up for stage sometimes. I mean, that's
Hmm.
why it's good to have a coach if they should be telling you that. But I know for some girls, like, I mean, coaches I've had in the past never really gave me a pump up protocol. So, like,
Hmm.
yeah, that's really good information.
I've never had a protocol myself, but I know as a competitor, like what will get you pumped up. And like I've literally been in their shoes before. So like talking about like wearing the heels, being in a bikini, like it's going to be a little uncomfortable to do squats. You know what I mean? So like we need to like find a way to make you comfortable while you're able to pump up. Even things like push-ups, when most of my girls, maybe they have implants or they're in like a bikini top, like that can be really uncomfortable to do, so we have to think about what it's going to be like in their shoes and how we can prepare them for that stage.
Mhm. That's great. And you were also kind of talking about some posing, and I know that you also do some FaceTime posing, I believe.
Yeah.
So what do you look for in a new beginner when it comes to bikini posing? Like, I know, like, I'm in figure now, so like I've done bikini, I know what to look for, but what's like a common mistake you see beginners do right away with posing?
Yeah, I see too much arm movement, and then I also see the wrong way on how they're squaring up their hips. So they'll either be facing the judges front on, which that's just not a very flattering look for a bikini competitor. And you also risk just making yourself looking wide if you just face the judges face on. So really learning how to twist the lower half while also twisting the upper half so you can face the judges. A lot of women struggle with that because they don't have the flexibility in their lower back. So even doing some stretching there can be helpful. But also the speed, like so many bikini competitors, like we're told we get like 10 seconds. So I see them like rush out there and they're moving so fast and they aren't taking their time on their posing, and then that looks like they're nervous. It's just not the right way to demonstrate the physique.
Yeah, you're right about the arm movement for sure, especially when you're nervous, because then they start kind of flailing around a little bit, and You're just like, whoa, girl, calm down.
You're doing too much. And it's so helpful to record yourself, looking at yourself posing in the mirror, but then also practicing without a mirror, because when you're on stage, you're not going to have your reflection coming back at you. So recording, I think, is super helpful because you're able to kind of see like, oh, I'm doing too much, or maybe I can work on my expressions a bit more here.
Mhm. Yeah, I was bringing up your pictures too, because like I know you had just said the posing from the front, and I
Hmm.
see here like this is probably from your national show from 2019, and then your very first show, and just like that posing difference, so the people on YouTube can kind of get a visual of what you were talking about. So that's
Yeah.
what you're kind of saying, that a little pivot of the hips.
And then also, like with bikini, posing has evolved. So that pose that I was doing in 2015, it still wasn't an awesome pose, but I was trying to do a stallion pose at the time, which was really popular on stage 2015 and 16. But then as the sports evolved, we see Angelica, Miss Bikini Olympia, she did this side pose. And then I swear to you, 2017, every single girl was doing the side pose, and that front pose you just hardly ever see.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because I seen it, it almost looked like you were doing a figure pose too down here, or at least it looks similar to one. But to be honest, I think I might have seen that too. You know, and you're talking about posing, evolving too. I know I just watched the New York Pro, and a lot of bikini girls, even North Americans, they're starting to do Issa's posing from the Olympia, where she had more of like a straight stance with her legs more far apart and her hand on
Hmm.
a hip for the front
You're
pose.
you're seeing some more like double hands on hips, like kind of to the angle, like the side, kind of like a figure girl, but more like squared up. You're seeing more of that. You're seeing more of like a flow when they turn. I've seen some girls like completely spin into their front pose, or like, I don't know. It's just really cool to see how posing has changed. And that's why it's important to not just do your favorite bikini competitor's posing routine, because it might not look good on you. And you also might not be able to move that way because, for example, the hip that I'm able to pop and have a good shape to my physique, I can't really do my other side and look the same. So you need to kind of stick to the side that you're good at.
Yeah, it is hard to find that right side because, especially what we were talking about the hips and your twisting, I feel like I don't know if it's for every girl, but just like one side of the oblique seems to be able to twist a little more than the other.
Hmm.
Plus, you're trying to hold in, and by that point, you know that's why I think practicing vacuums is good too. Do you do that for yourself?
Yeah, I do that for myself, and I also do that with my clients. I know in 2019, I had a really hard prep where my digestion got really messed up. So I had to focus on doing stomach vacuums to help hold my core in. I just had like IBS, which was making like getting conditioned really hard, but that was just due to like years of prepping.
Hmm. Yeah, and then to go with that, like your show history. So you've been competing since 2015, and it looks like you've probably done a variety of like East Coast shows. Is there like any shows that really you like highlighted that you had a like an amazing time at, or like
Hmm.
just key points like that?
I liked Junior USA's in 2015. That was my first national show. I took seventh there, but I just liked the atmosphere.
Mhm.
Really, really well run, lots of space. I liked the respect that all the people backstage had for the athletes. So that was kind of a cool experience. And then also like the Arnold 2017 was such a good experience. That was a really hard show for me too. Like I worked my butt off and my body wasn't being super responsive. And then within 2 weeks, like I dropped 7 pounds and got conditioned and placed top 10. And so that was super cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it says here you got seventh. That's like super awesome for your first Arnold, and
Yeah.
it's a huge stage too. I've heard good experiences about that show. Like backstage is like they treat you
So
like,
nice.
oh yeah, that's fantastic. And then I've seen you post some videos of that too. Like, so did they like film your routine? Because it looked like a really nice video.
It was actually my coach at the time. So they filmed that and they did such a good job. Like, I was like, they should have done that with every single athlete because that stage is just so prestigious and it's so beautiful in the background. I was like, dang, like I feel so lucky to have that video because, like, again, it was such a good experience. I competed that day, and when I stepped off stage, I was like, yeah, I did not make top 10. Like, all these girls look way better than me. And then when they announced that and I was able to walk on the expo stage, like I was just happy to be there.
Yeah. No, that's like real cool. I mean, very cool. I like the Arnold a lot, and like that's pretty close for you. So that's almost like a hometown win, almost.
Yeah, at the time it was super close. And now, like, living in Tampa and seeing the Tampa Pro down here, like now that's a show that I just like want to do super good at.
Yeah, yeah. No, and I've heard that Tim Gardner does fantastic shows. Have you done any shows yet in Florida?
I have, but I haven't done any with Tim
Mm-hmm.
Gardner. I know for 2021 I'm going to look for one of his shows to do because they're really well done.
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. I
I had someone ringing my doorbell, so she started to get freaked out.
Really? Hope is so cute.
The worst timing.
It's okay. It's okay. Which, since we're talking about shows a little bit, what was your feedback from like your most recent show then?
So 2019, my feedback sucked because it was all about my tan. They were like, your tan's not dark enough. You need to be darker on stage. And this was the first time that I did my own tan through Pro Tan. So I didn't understand, like, I saw all these other competitors use it. Like, my coach at the time was like, you should definitely use Pro Tan. Like, everybody's using it. And I did, but I'm so white that they didn't have like a super dark formula, and I wasn't able to get that color that they wanted. And when I competed, I ran into the head judge at my hotel, and he was like, you looked great up there, but you need a tan. And I took second place, and I felt so bad because I'm like, the tan is like the dumbest critique. Like, anything else I would have taken, but like, especially since I did it, like I just felt really bad because I knew that I could have made that better.
Yeah, and it's hard because I know like that's a good way to, save some money, especially if you're going to try to do like more than one show a year. Because, I mean, I'm seeing more and more people do their own tan, but yeah, now you're seeing like the whole tanning situation because it's not just you. Actually, like even with bodybuilding in the men's open, Ian Valier just competed he did the Tampa Pro, and they said his tan was awful, which it was, and it just didn't look good at all. And then his tan was a little bit better for the New York Pro, but it still wasn't still just wasn't dark. And it's the same problem like that you have. Like he's from Canada, so he's really pale. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know if I know they say like Dave Palumbo always says you should try to like tan in a tanning bed, but like not everybody wants to do that. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like,
And I know for like myself, like I wouldn't mind tanning in a tanning bed, but I also did that a lot in high school. So like now I'm not wanting to do that as much. And like cancer runs in my family. So like I'm not trying to make myself more prone to that.
mm-hmm. Yes, that seems like a common thing now, and I just don't really know what the fix is yet for that for people. If like
Yeah.
you have to do more coats or
I
go.
honestly think like if judging criteria could change, like the one thing that I think should change is the tanning, like being so strict on it because everybody's different. Everybody has different undertones and pH levels. Like, and I know if I were a judge and saw someone's tan maybe messed up like in certain areas, like for women, sometimes it's the chest, by your armpit areas. Like if I saw it a little bit messed up, like I don't think that I would mark a person down. Like it's not their fault.
No, I think they just do it as a way, like especially for bikini. Um, it does come down to that like that beauty pageant parlor
Hmm.
part where it's like, how's your like all these girls look good, but now we're gonna go look at their hair and their makeup because I mean, even
So
you're a
hard.
blonde, and I'm starting to hear girls in bikini say they didn't place well because they have blonde hair.
Yeah, and I even like debated like dyeing my hair darker, but then I'm like, I love my blonde hair. Like I'm going to stay a blonde, and if that's the reason why I don't place, then I'm not about to change my whole body just for a sport. And
Yeah.
I know that sounds kind of funny because it is bodybuilding, but like my blonde hair is like part of my identity, so like I'm gonna stick with that. And I think a lot of other women feel like they need to get like implants, and I do have breast implants, but you don't need them to be successful. Like I've wanted them before I ever competed. I was a gymnast growing up, so I've always had like nothing, and it was something that I wanted to do long before competing. But I also think a lot of women get implants and then they think, well, now I'm going to do really well. I got implants 2019, and it was not my best year of competing. 2018 was.
Yeah. Yeah. The year before. And, um, yeah, and I know you have to kind of like buy a few new things and like get a whole new suit and like, and if your upper body doesn't, like if you're not already big upper body, then you're going to probably have to do some more work so that the boobs
Hmm.
will match.
Yeah, and you can also like recovery with a breast augmentation, like it's not super fun. Like I still can't train chest, I still can't do pull-ups, and I know some women, like especially like figure girls, like that's not something that a lot of them would sacrifice because that's what's really going to give you that full upper body.
Hmm. Right. I've also seen the part where I feel like the lower body won't match either. And then you just kind of like look super top heavy. And in bikini, like you don't want that, you know? So
Yeah.
there's a lot with that. And um, so yeah, posing. Who do you work with right now, coaching wise?
I work with Adam Atkinson from See You Later Leaner because he focuses a lot on hormonal health, and that's what I needed help with. So what happened in 2019 was just my body was burnt out. I didn't want to give up. Like I wanted to keep going. I wanted to do well, but I couldn't ignore my body. And like I got to the point where I got the flu, like in summertime, got really sick. Hair was like falling out, and I was like, this is not normal, this has never happened before. And come to find out, like my cortisol's through the roof, and I took blood work months after, like 7 months after. My cortisol is incredibly elevated, and my estrogen is really high too, which explains some of the digestion issues that I was having, and then also the issues with weight gain and the ability to lose weight. So, for example, when I started my reverse diet, I was at like 1,500 calories, putting on weight so fast, and it just didn't make any sense. But even when I was trying to prep in 2019, I couldn't get lean despite how hard I was pushing. And that's the whole like calorie deficit thing. Like it just didn't work with this because the hormones were off.
Yes. And I'm starting to see that myself with a lot of females. It's becoming, I think more and more people are talking about it. So more and more people are aware, like the whole, how's your gut, like you were saying, or like,
Hmm.
um, sorry, my work's like bothering me at the moment. Let me pause this, or not the recording, but the time. Okay, there we go. Um, so yeah, like the hormonal health, and I know you've talked a lot about like birth controls and periods and stuff like that. Like, I don't know if you
Hmm.
mind saying, but are you on or off of a birth control?
I'm off of birth control. I've been on it before, and I've tried a few different pills. I actually don't remember the brands off the top of my head, but the reason why I came off the pill was for just side effects I had, and it wasn't anything to do with weight gain. It was just more so I was dealing with depression when I was on the pill and had like even like suicidal thoughts, and I never think about that stuff. But when I was on the pill, like I was freaked out because I never thought about that. That's actually a side effect on the pill, is depression, anxiety, and even to have those sort of dark thoughts. And it just wasn't worth it to me to have myself on the pill. And I was in college at the time, so I just
Mm.
eliminated the pill. I also know the ability for you to put on muscle while being on birth control is a little bit lower because testosterone can be on the lower end too. And then you're also not able to keep track of your natural cycles. So if something like having children is important to you, you need to kind of understand like when your period's coming back and when it's not there. So for myself, I actually came off too, so I can keep track of my cycles, and if I'm at a healthy enough weight and like my own personal hormones are in alignment to where I can have a natural cycle. I've lost my period, every single year that I've prepped, but I also feel awesome because I've been able to regain it, and I'm thankful for that I'm able to regain it, usually within 3 months post show.
That's really good. 3 months after, because I know when I lost mine, it was like a year, 18 months. And
Mhm.
that was a long time, but that was the first time it ever happened to me. So I feel like that's great for you because now you're probably taking notes and like really learning like as it goes on when my like body starts to respond. Because like with your podcast, it actually helped me decide that I came off too.
Mhm.
And I remember like I just feel so much better now. I feel like I'm a little bit more in control of how my body is naturally. Like I don't
Mhm.
feel like I'm forcing anything, and like less pills the better.
Yeah, and I think that it's interesting when you look at birth control as basically a steroid. In a way, it is a steroid for females, but it's just female hormones. It's usually a mix of estrogen and progesterone, because they can't make progesterone in a lab because that's naturally occurring. So it's progesterone, and it's in your body, and it's literally just like a steroid with a bunch of negative side effects. And I think some women, like if you're on it just for birth control, like know that you have other options out there. You have the copper IUD, you have, other ways of planning depending on what your relationship looks like. So you don't feel like you have to be married to the pill.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And when you're getting ready for a show, I mean, I feel like there's already so many things going on, and like just more less is better in my opinion.
Hmm.
So that's good though that and I'm sure you talk to your clients about that too and let them make that decision. And do you have
Yeah,
more of an
absolutely.
online?
It's a conversation that you should have with your doctor, and you should also be asking them uncomfortable questions too. Like, why do you want me to be on this pill to get my cycle back? Is that really a real cycle? Like if they're blatantly kind of like lying to you, like it's just not in your best interest. And I want to be working with a doctor that completely understands my goals too.
Great. I had that situation with Accutane. I never took it before, but when I was having a really bad acne during quarantine, I think it was more because I didn't have a period at the time, and it was like I wanted to like work with a doctor and my coach together to fix this. Which my coach was already helping me, but the doctor I had to get. I saw someone new, and right away he was like, "What about Accutane?" And I was just like, what are my other options? Like, why are you trying to force like I know how harsh Accutane is. It's like
Hmm.
they like want you to like because I was like, I'm not taking a birth control. They're like, well, if you take Accutane, then you have to get like a pregnancy test like once a month or something like that. And I'm like, that's just crazy to me. Like I want to naturally get rid of
Yeah.
the acne. And
I think Accutane can cause like a liver damage or something, like
again,
just
probably like
casually.
it's like I mean, just like I know it works, but it's so potent. And it's like,
Yeah.
why I wish more people would understand that maybe it's better to, even though I took the longer route to fix acne, that it ended up working out better and my body feels better because you just can't force it. You got to have like learn your body and let it go through its cycles.
And now you're not reliant on a pill.
Right. Less is better. So, back to shows, I was curious, like for again with new bikini girls, what's a first show must? Some advice, something that you're like, something that you learned.
A first show, well, my first few shows, I didn't hire a coach. So hire a coach and interview your coach before you hire them. So don't just hire someone because they're known at your gym or they prep people and they're local to you. There's so many coaches out there, and you can hire online. You can hire someone who feels like they're just like you and you can really relate to, and interview them. Like if this person isn't willing to hop on the phone with you, like, do you really think they're going to give you the time of day in prep? Probably not. So hire a coach. I know that it's an investment, but you're going to be well well off hiring someone that can really walk you into show day, and all those questions that you're going to have, like you're going to have someone to answer them for you. And then the second thing would be invest in a really nice suit. Okay. Don't try to save money and get the suit that doesn't have a lot of bling on it. You can get a really nice suit, and if you're looking to compete for years on end, like you can reuse that suit. So find a really nice color that flatters you, that's also doing well on stage. I'd say like purples, emerald greens, and blues are all really good to go. Red's a little bit iffy with the skin tone thing. Some people like red does not look good on. Yellow I wouldn't really go for. And then even black suits are not for everyone. So stick with purple, green, blue, perfect suits, and then invest in one that you know you're going to love and wear for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree. And I've seen with your history, you've had all kinds of suit colors. Is there one that you kind of are looking back and thinking, oh, that one worked better than this one?
Yeah, I'm so indecisive with suits. Plus, I'm very grateful that I can work with Angel Competition bikinis, and they're evolving all the time. They're so unique with their stones and how they piece suits together. So I always like to play around with different colors. But my favorite suit that I've worn was probably the green emerald one, the lucky suit. They actually named it the lucky suit. And then my black suit, which was really cool. It's just different. I would like to do maybe black again or a darker blue, but I've really done like every single color.
Yeah, I was gonna say because your Arnold one is very different. It was that like that purpley color. So here's you and your black, which I like. It complements your hair color. Because I know you said not everyone can pull that one off, but I really like the black on you. It's very simplistic.
The Arnold one was like a reddish, and there's actually some pink stones on there, which when you look at the suit close up, it's like you don't think it would look good, but on that stage it looked really nice. And that also like depends the suit that you should choose is look at the backdrops of the stage and you can see like what will clash. I believe like Vegas at nationals, like that background is I think a red background. So I see some girls do like a red suit and you just like blend into the background. Like if you did blue, you would really pop.
Yeah, even well, I can't even spit it out. The national show in Jersey. There we go.
Mhm.
You the blue really complemented off that black drop. So
And that was a last minute decision because I had a darker suit, like a navy one, and I think if I did that one, it wouldn't make me pop as much.
mhm. Yeah, I think because you started with blue too, so it's almost like you're drawn to the blue colors.
Basically, I mean, when you look at like even my whole Instagram, it's like blue, 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 but like they're different tones. I could see myself doing more of like a dark royal blue. I feel like I've done a lot of light blues, like mints,
Hmm.
and I think a dark blue could be a nice shift. But
Yeah,
a lot of people told me do the black because not too many people can do that one.
yeah. No, you did really pull that one off. Although the backdrop might have been the only thing that didn't help it as much. But like you look good with the suit. But you're right. If you kind of have to like look at what's going on in the background,
Hmm.
which to be honest, thinking about Tampa shows, I think they usually have a nice like red background or something.
Yeah, like red or blue, something very
Mhm.
out there.
Yeah, tropical sometimes. You were also talking about coaches and hiring a coach, and I actually did have a viewer that wanted to ask, what signs should you look for in a bad coach or
Hmm.
something good too that you could see in a coach?
Yeah, so I've been in the sport for years, and it is unfortunate that I haven't been able to stick with one coach throughout all those years. But that's because I just felt like they weren't working with me in my best interest. So, number one is communication. I've fired coaches for poor communication if they're not going to answer my messages, if they're not going to read everything that I have to say. I've sent two paragraph long emails and gotten 2 sentences back. And I don't want to feel like I'm not a priority, especially if you're paying someone. And I also know as a coach, like I know the service that I can give. So if I can't work with someone that can kind of give a similar service or in the same amount of effort, like I know that they can do better, if that makes sense. Someone whose like morals don't align with mine too. So like I never want drugs to be pushed onto me. I don't think that's appropriate. I'm not against PED use, but I also think the athlete should bring that up to the coach, and the coach shouldn't just prescribe the athlete PEDs. I think that's like the main thing is just communication. When you think of like any relationship in general, though, like most relationships fail because of poor communication. So if the coach isn't going to communicate with me, then I'm going to have issues. And I never think that you should price shop. Like, of course, everybody has a budget, but just because someone charges $50 a month, like, doesn't mean that you should probably go with them.
Right. Yes. And I think definitely ask about education. Like I know
Yes.
just from following you for a long time, like you always give good information, and for you to give out so much free information, think about what you can do for somebody
Mm-hmm.
individually.
Look
So
at their content. Like, do they have a podcast? Do they have good informative information? Because a coach that loves what they do will teach and educate you for free. If this person only posts about their body or their abs or their butt, and they don't really have anything to offer outside of just how they look, like, do you really think they're going to be a good coach? Like, what are they going to teach you? Like, how to take a good selfie? Like, you have to really think about who you're hiring, and don't just go off of IFBB Pro, because although that is a prestigious title to achieve, that's not education. And it's just like having a really good basketball player. Like, they could be a great player, but they could be a bad coach.
mhm. No, you're definitely right with that one, because I know a lot of coaches who maybe they compete, but I think their knowledge and their passion to help other people overrides that. So just because they never made it as a pro doesn't mean like they
Oh
can't
yeah.
go in the pro.
Or even like I know of for example, like Lauren Conlin down here in Tampa. Like, she's been pro for years, and in the pro circuit, does she do amazing? Not really, and she's even said it herself. But she's a great coach, and she's there for her clients. She has education, and just because she's not winning titles doesn't mean that she's a bad coach. And let's be honest, anybody on a pro stage has a great physique.
Exactly. And I know I just recently like told people this on my Instagram, but the pros look the way they do because they've put in the work, or they just have amazing genetics. So like try not to compare all of the time. And once you hit that pro stage, that's a whole nother level. Just
Hmm. And
wow.
you never see people like that in person. Like, when you're at a gym, majority of the people are not in crazy conditioning like that. So like, if someone's achieved that level, like they are elite. And I also know, like, when I get into conditioning, like, it can be addictive because you do get a lot of like positive reinforcement and comments. And although the physique that I have is great, it's also not attainable for the long term. But you do stick out, and I think that's also why a lot of competitors get hooked to the stage, because they get all that feedback on their body, and they're like, oh my gosh, I look amazing, like I have to always look like this. But that's not the reality either.
Yes, I agree. I know that's a thing with first time competitors too. It's like, I think you'll do great at your show, but just think about the reverse out. So then you get some people that suffer from that like post show blues, and
Hmm.
the attention's not as much, or like the hype. And it's like, it depends person to person. I feel like we all, if you compete, you kind of all have to go through it so that you can learn from it.
Hmm. And it can be frustrating too, like with me being on social media and being a coach. Like, I almost felt like taking over a year off, that like people were going to lose interest in me. But I also know that my worth is more than just being a competitor, and that this year in particular, I've really been pushing out a lot of education based content to show people, like, I will post my show stuff here and there, but I'm not just going to post like stage lean throwbacks all the time.
Mhm. Yeah, I really like that about you, that you are like that, because we're both in our off season, and I've seen that you post like the reality of it. It's like, hey, like I'm not stage lean, and I have improvements to make, so I have to put on a healthy amount of body fat. And you've been
Mm-hmm.
transparent, because a lot of people, they won't show that side at all. It's almost like they're too embarrassed, or like you said, you want to keep your Instagram following strong. So, and it's part of your job too. So,
Mm-hmm. Body fat's not a bad thing. I think so many people are scared of body fat. If you're a female, you're missing your period, body fat's your friend. If you know that you aren't in the healthiest place, you might need some body fat on you. It's not a bad thing.
no, not at all. And plus, the improvements needed, it's very important to have that, to build the muscle. You got to
Mm-hmm.
eat, and
Yeah.
you'll thank yourself later, right? For show,
Yes.
like,
And bikini competitors, like they have muscle. Like so many people are like, oh, like they don't have that much muscle. No, these girls are jacked. Like I mean, I feel like bikini competitors now are like figure competitors just like 10 years ago in a way, just different posing. And these girls have a lot of muscle, and you have to put on size. You have to gain muscle in order to look that way. So I'm just excited to see what all this time is going to do off, because I feel like I did really well, and then I started to regress. So then I'm like, well, damn, I need to beat that. So now I'm going to really just put in the time and build and show people what taking time off can do for you.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. It's like, you kind of learn as you go, but we always need that one time, or that, are you still there? Whoop, I might have lost you. Oh, am I back?
Yeah, we were
Okay,
frozen
sorry.
for a bit.
It froze. Yeah, I think my internet decided to skip there for a second. But yeah, the off season is super important, and just everyone's off season is going to be different, and we're all going to look a little different. So like,
Hmm.
I've learned that, and I'm also think my body got used to eating better, sticking to a consistent, clean diet through my off season. So
Hmm.
that was always really important.
And doing the whole like coming from like a mental health aspect, like I really do get frustrated when I see competitors just packing their bags full of treats after, and it seems like they're going on like an overeating fest for like a week after, and that's just it's unhealthy. And are you competing for the sport, or are you competing for the food? Like if you're competing for the food, you might have a disordered relationship with food that you need to work on. And we have hormones that get messed up, like our leptin, and you could eat a meal and not feel full after, but you have to be in tune with that, and you have to not set yourself up for failure by getting all these treats. Like have a treat here and there, but still listen to your fullness cues and understand that the food's always going to be there, so you don't have to get it all in all the time.
Mhm. Right. And again, working with a coach, have a coach understand you, have them feed you a variety of foods, find what works for you. I know I've had
Hmm.
a coach in the past. I just felt like I was so restricted, and it was a lot of the chicken and rice bro diet stuff, where now I get all kinds of food. It typically changes like once a month. I feel like it helps like decrease any cravings that I have. I just feel like a overall happier person. So I'm sure you're like that as well with your coaching style. Whoop, I might have lost you again. Mm, maybe. Did I lose you? Whoop, sorry.
It's
You
okay.
still there? I wonder how much of it is on the. Oh, okay, cool. It's still recording. I never had that happen before.
You might need to split it and edit.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into that. That'll actually give me something to learn, because I haven't done that yet. Um, So yeah, I mean, we're getting close to an hour, so I guess I'll go ahead and start to round this off. So you're already talking about your future plans. So you're thinking about 2021, working with your coach, and any show date in mind, or are you just gonna see how everything pans out?
I'm thinking about starting prep in January, and then possibly going to North Americans and we'll see. I want to hit the national circuit. Like, I need to just see how I feel, how my body's responding. And I also don't want to step on stage unless I feel like I'm going to win, because I think that it's gotten so competitive now. My first goal is to win an overall, because I've never won one in all my years, like, which makes me laugh. But I've won my class, I just never have won an overall. And I joke with myself that I'm always the top three. I'm always the top three, but I'm never like the actual winner, and I want to win an overall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good goal to have. And then I know you've already done national shows, but you see a lot of people now saying like win the overall, and then you'll know like you're pro worthy almost, or
Yeah, because
national worthy.
top two gets you qualified, but now I feel like unless you win an overall, like, you're still crossing your fingers.
Yeah, you're still kind of like second place. I
Seriously.
mean, it's the harsh truth, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know you have a boyfriend and he supports everything too, right? Like you got
Yeah,
a good support system.
he's so understanding. He was just talking about how my prep was really hard last year on me, but his friends are prepping, like one of his friends prepping for a physique show, and he's like, "Thank you so much for not being grumpy like him," because I've done so many shows, so I'm able to really be in tune with like mood swings or even like energy drops. Like, I'm very in tune with everything going on, and I think that that has helped our relationship a lot, is I'm able to communicate like, "Hey, I'm not feeling good today. I'm really tired today." So just communicate that. And he's thought about competing, but he wants to wait until he's older because he needs to put on a lot of size, and he knows that.
Well, that's not a bad thing. I mean, I know you guys are both pretty young, right? 25?
25. Yeah.
25, yeah. So yeah, he'll for men too, like the whole muscle maturity thing, I'm sure that 30 to 35 will probably be a really good time to maybe start, and he'll have some really good matured muscles by then also.
Yeah. And with his background of wrestling and dieting, like, he just needs time to put on muscle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's men for you, right? They're always wanting more muscle. um But yes, so where can people get a hold of you for coaching, and any shout outs, any sponsors you want to talk about too? Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll talk about my sponsors first. So I work with Bomar Nutrition. I am an athlete for them, and I have like utilized their products whenever I'm prepping. I'm super excited to use their nootropic going into this prep for 2021. So prep brain is a real thing that I struggle with, and that's definitely helped me a lot. I work with Angel Competition Bikinis as well, and my code is just Nicole at checkout. They do in-suit consultations with you, so if you need help choosing your suit, they're there every step of the way. Amazing customer service. For me, on where to find me for coaching, you can find my website is just NicoleFerrierFitness.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Nicole Ferrier Fitness, and my podcast is Beyond the Bikini Radio.
Yes, and you are accepting new clients?
Yes, I am accepting new clients. And if you're looking to prep in 2021, this is the time that you should be looking for a coach.
Yes, I definitely agree. Get on that, start a plan. Don't just start the new year and be like, I want to compete this year. Like, give yourself some time.
Don't rush it, plan it out, and find someone that's going to be a good fit for you.
Definitely. And what is your birthday? I want to know your sign.
5/13/95. I'm a Taurus.
Yes, very strong and probably hard-headed a little bit too.
Hard-headed, loyal, super
Yes,
loyal,
very.
and I'm just very stubborn.
Hey, that's why you want to win, right? That goes into your
It is.
competing a
I'm
little
a
bit.
Taurus and an Enneagram 8, which means I'm like super leader and stubborn.
Hey, makes a good coach too. You're like, I'm the leader, listen to what I gotta say.
It does. And then I'm also touchy-feely too. So
A little cuddly. All right. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm sure I could talk to you forever because I know how knowledgeable you are and everything else under your belt. You got a wealth of knowledge, like I said at the beginning. So thank you so much.
well, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Of course. All right. Well, everyone, please follow Nicole. You won't regret it. Her Instagram is full of awesome knowledge. So, all right, girl. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you later.
See ya.
See ya. Bye.